Shadow.
Adoga pako nyawegi, hata chimora gikiti, kakikelo no sheri, chunya kona na weri. Ase tetni, nikechinyonga gichwechni. Ase tetni, nikechinyonga gilani. Unataka nini mama, anagombo na neni. Okinyo ledi morita, aderiteka gibeni. Ase tetni, nikechinyonga gichwechni. Ase tetni, nikechinyonga gilani. My jabe, una meta utakunywa nini, wale simeleta. Anyako, yoteke imeweza, ukisuka chini, unatetemesa. Ate tetni, aye yengi. Ate tetni, unatetemesa. Ate tetni, aye yengi. Ate tetni, unatetemesa.
My jaber, una meta, utakunywa nini, wallet nimeleta. Hainyako, hiyo teke imeweza, ukisuka chini, unatetemesa.
Oh gosh. So we are at the band H_ART the band, and this Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. we'll be live on Science Stories Africa YouTube page. Make sure you tune in. Watch out. Good stories, amazing stories, amazing vibes. Music, good vibes. Tupatane pale au sio? At the band H_ART the band.
My name is Patricia Nanteza, and I am the founder of Science Stories Africa.
This is Anthony Muthungu, the founder of Totsai Holdings and the innovator of Alex Skin.
I'm Ethel Webi, a plant biotechnologist.
I'm Dr. Joseph Nderitu. I am the innovator behind the Tira Nanomask, which has the ability to not only filter but also to kill viruses and bacteria.
My name is Dahabo Galgallo, the CEO and the founder of Track and Save a Life CBO.
My name is Bernardo Meme. I'm a science journalist.
This year we are very excited to take science yet again to the theater, and Nairobi, Kenya has welcomed us. We are going to tell stories of brilliant scientists.
This Sunday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. East African time.
Come watch us as we talk about science.
Welcome and enjoy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sarah Evanja, Director of the Cornell Alliance for Science. Problems like hunger, poverty, malnutrition, and slow agricultural growth are impacting people globally. According to the United Nations World Food Program, there are over 795 million undernourished people in the world today. Hunger and malnutrition are in fact the #1 risk to health worldwide, greater than AIDS, malaria, and TB combined. Recent innovations could play a critical role in helping to solve these problems, and biotechnology is at the heart of this discussion. With an ever-increasing population and continued concern about environmental degradation, the goals of farmers, scientists, environmentalists, and other stakeholders are really not that different. The stakes of these humanitarian challenges demand that we use scientific evidence as one of the guiding principles in making policy decisions that are necessary to make innovations accessible to the people who need them most. Advances in research and access to new technologies have the potential to help provide a sustainable and safe food source for the world. We're currently seeing public sector scientists using plant biotechnologies to address these challenges, whether in combating banana bacterial wilt disease in Uganda, fruit and shoot borer damage of eggplant in Bangladesh, or even the ring spot virus's impact on the Hawaiian papaya. Based at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, the Alliance for Science is a communications-based, nonprofit organization represented by scientists, farmers, NGOs, journalists, and concerned citizens from around the world who have come together to tell their stories through the use of interactive online platforms, multimedia resources, and communication training programs. Ultimately, we seek to restore the importance of scientific evidence in decision-making. We use data to make informed choices about the use of biotechnology as a tool for advancing food security, environmental protection, and health. We hope to empower our allies at the grassroots level, building a global movement to advocate for access to innovations that can play an important role in addressing these challenges. And we invite you to join us in this cause. Become an ally of the Alliance for Science and make a difference in the world today.
Good evening, everyone. You're very welcome to the third edition of Science Stories Africa. February 2019, I and Christine Long, 5:30 a.m., we got up, left our homes, and got onto the bus to Nairobi. I had a dream to tell the story of African science. And Christine, I think, was the first person that I told, and she bought into the dream. So while we were trying to come up with the structure of what we want to do, how we want to do it, we found an organization that was doing something almost similar to what we were doing, and they were based in Nairobi. So we made it a point to come here, sit in the audience, saw what they are doing, picked a tip or two, and we went back home. And with a dream that we had started building, I reached out to the Alliance for Science, and I told the director, Sarah, that I want to tell the story of African scientists. I interact with brilliant men and women on a daily basis. And I thought, then how do I tell the story of African science? And that is how Science Stories Africa was born. June 22nd, 2019, we took science to the theater in Kampala, Uganda, for the first time in Uganda, for the first time in Africa, and for the first time in the world. Science went to the theater. Scientists told their stories of innovation, but they also put a face to it. We got to know who exactly is doing what, so that we can cheer them on, but also so that when these conferences are happening, they know whom to invite so that we can speak for ourselves. We can tell our story. And we promised ourselves in February 2019 that we shall come back to Nairobi and tell the story of Kenyan science. 2 years later, after several lockdowns, we are finally here. So Nairobi, thank you for welcoming us. The stories we are going to tell today, they have blown us. Kenya has raised the bar of the kind of stories that we tell. The brilliance is amazing. We have hurt the band, so we can promise fun. But there is one thing I can promise you. You're going to get the shivers. You're going to get the chills from the sheer amount of innovation and brilliance that we have found in Kenya. So as we start today's show, I request that those of you who are watching us, please share a link, send it to a friend, send it to the groups that you're in, and tell them African science is about to start telling their story. Kenyan scientists are about to start telling their story. And to open us up, I would like to invite Hart the band. As they come to set up, I would like to say a huge thank you to the Alliance for Science, who has been our permanent funder and sponsor for now the third year. To say a personal thank you to the director, Sarah Evanja. Thank you for believing in my dream. Thank you for believing in the work that African scientists are doing. And in the second year, last year, 2020, we got an individual funder, Ian Gazad. He told me, Patricia, I believe in the work that you're doing. And he committed a lifetime of sponsorship. This year, Ian and his wife, Amy Gazad, doubled their giving. So Amy And Ian, Sarah, the Alliance. I like to say that at Science Stories Africa, we love dangerously. We love you dangerously. Thank you for your support. Hat the band.
So we are Hat the Band H_EAT Science Stories Africa. Hope mko salama. Straight out of Nairobi, Kenya. See ya. Let's do this. Oh yeah.
My jabe, unametameta, utakunywa nini? Wale nimeleta, hainyako, hiyo teke imeweza. Ukisuka chini, unatetemesa. My jabe, unametameta, utakunywa nini? Wale nimeleta, hainyako, hiyo teke imeweza. Unatetemesa, karibia, ringa wakuone, maidia, kutoka Kondele. Find me by the lakeside, girl baby by my side. Penda hiyo design, nimekamata hiyo behind fungulia. Bebe Mr. DJ, nimejinyakulia, figa namba 8. Tonight is tonight, starehe polite, nimejinyakulia. Wacha nijigambe, mama maejabe. Unametameta, utakunywa nini? Wale nimeleta, ainyako, hiyo teke imeweza. Ukisuka chini, unatetemesa. Maitabe, unametameta, utakunywa nini? Wale nimeleta, ainyako, hiyo teke imeweza. Ukisuka chini, unatetemesa. Atetetete mama, aye mama, atetetete mama, unatetemesa. Atetetete mama, aye atetetete, unatetemesa.
Thank you at the band for that great performance. Wasn't it excellent? Great. Thank you, our sponsors, Alliance for Science, Ian Gazard, for the sponsorship. Thank you very much. The next speaker is not an ordinary doctor. He's an accomplished scientist, an innovator with global recognition. He left a lucrative job abroad to solve local challenges using nanotechnology, a cutting-edge technology. Let's welcome the innovator of the Tiro mask, nanomask, Dr. Joseph Nderitu. Welcome, Doctor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of my beloved Africa. This is a Tiro nanomask. Besides filtering the viruses and bacteria that cause respiratory infection, it kills them. It has intrinsic ability to destroy any microbe that lands on the surface, so that my hands now are cleaner for touching this fabric than they were before. And it is reusable. You can wash it hundreds of times and it will not lose that capacity to kill microbes. I'm Dr. Joseph Nderitu. I'm a medical doctor and nanotechnology researcher, and I'm here to tell you the story of the journey that has led to this innovation. It's a long journey, but a short story. I'll summarize, and I'll start in my first encounter, my first time as a medical doctor. In 2016, at the beginning of 2016, I'm a medical officer intern in Nyeri General Hospital. And that's a time I come face to face with the reality of the double burden of disease in Africa. And that means having both incurable chronic diseases and infectious diseases superimposed over the catastrophe of antimicrobial resistance, which means that we are dealing with the problem of infections that don't respond to antibiotics. I'm a young doctor in my 20s, idealistic, fresh off the minting press, And here I'm faced with the situation where my patients, a lot of them have diabetes, and they have very large wounds, often covering the entire leg, that have been there for months, and every antibiotic I give will not work. And the standard practice in such cases is you have to amputate. You have to cut someone's leg. Now, I had taken an oath as a doctor. First, do no harm. And here I am, pushed to a corner where the only way I can prevent death for someone is to harm them, because to amputate your limbs leaves you immobile, depressed, economically unproductive, and dependent on others. Of course, I had to do what I had to do, but every day and every night, I was tortured by that. I wondered, what else can I do? Can I live a lifetime career of doing things to my patients that leave them worse for wear, even if they don't die? And this took me back to my younger days. I'd always been the science geek, the science nerd that was always fascinated about atoms and cells and molecules and things like that. And as a young adult in my early 20s, I'd already graduated as a scientist. I was already publishing, and one time with my friends in Rome, we hung around and talking about science, doing research, and we would be discussing Galileo Galilei and Leonardo da Vinci, and how those men brought science and created the pedestal for modern human science at a time when no one really understood what they were saying. And at that time, we were talking about nanotechnology at a time when most of the world was struggling to understand what nanotechnology was. And as a 21, 22-year-old, I think it felt for me like, well, this might be something that I'm going to use as a vehicle for my sons. But I wasn't particularly serious, This was very academic. But when this problem of patients now became real to me, I had to make decisions to save their lives, then I knew I had to go back to that and make it work for this particular problem. Now, so I struggled through the years, trying to learn more about nanotechnology, doing a lot of research, and not getting much success. But by the time we come to 2018, I'm a chief medical officer for one of the hospitals in Murang'a County, and there I still have the same responsibility, but I hadn't gone as far in nanotechnology to put something that could treat patients, but I still needed to do something for these patients who were dying from wounds. And what I did at the time is I improvised, using vacuum wound therapy, which means that I create an airtight seal around the wound and connect it to a suction machine that sucks all the air from the wound. And I saw that was working fantastically. But these machines, they required electricity, they were noisy, they would heat up, and basically they were not convenient, they were not the perfect thing. So I went back to nanotechnology seriously, and I did a lot of work. But nanotechnology is very high-tech, it's very expensive, it needs a lot of equipment, a lot of reactors. And because I wasn't having a lot of success in getting grants or support of partnerships, by the end of 2019, I was ready to quit. I was ready to say, look, I'm done here. And then comes 2020, COVID-19. It shocks the world, everything is brought down to a standstill. Everybody runs home to run from COVID-19. We, the doctors, wear our masks and run towards the disease. We have to treat patients. And I become one of those who get COVID-19. And I stayed, for weeks. The headache, the sore throat, that memorable pain in every part of your body. Your muscles, your joints, you feel your lungs feeling like with acid. You feel as if boiling water is being flushed down your gut. Everything is completely out of control. And that reminded me that the technology that I'd given up on might be the reason why a lot of people might survive, because this was bad. We were already protecting ourselves with masks, but they were not working. And so I went back to my nanotechnology. I perfected the methods. I worked with the materials that I had. I submitted the materials that I produced by mid last year to the Ministry of Health for testing, because I needed to know, could they actually kill the viruses and the bacteria as I had predicted? And we did a lot of testing for the fabric, and every single one of the tests gave positive results. None of the microbes exposed to my fabric survived. And so I felt, now, being a COVID survivor and seeing how everybody else, a lot of other people were dying every day, I felt that I had a moral obligation to bring the technology to bear. And so began, the second phase of the struggle to manufacture it. I had to partner with textile manufacturers. And it's a difficult thing, because the minute you mention nanotechnology, everybody's like, no, maybe it's going to blow up our machines or something. So I had very limited production last year, masks which I have been using since last year for more than 12 months now. And by the end of the first quarter of this year, I succeeded in getting a company that was willing to partner with me in the production of the fabric and the masks. And these are the masks that you have now. And I would like to say, in summary, that the benefit it brings is, you can imagine this virus that is continuing to wreak havoc on the world. This is the end of it. When it lands here, it's not going to be spread to any other surface. This is the end of it. It lands on that surface, and this is the end of it. This mask is also solving the problem of single-use issue, where if you think about 7 billion people disposing a single-use mask every day, the destruction to the environment is unimaginable. If you think about those of us in Africa, where more than 80% of the population is economically strained, you can't afford to buy a mask every single day. So people are reusing the single-use masks, which already have a lot of accumulated viruses and bacteria on them, and they're becoming a source of infection themselves. And this nanomask is also solving that problem. And we're also helping to support the revolution, a renaissance of nanotechnology and science in Africa, because every single coin that you buy for this nanomask goes back into the research that I was doing previously for the production of products for wound care, for critical care, for the reduction of hospital-acquired infection. And so I hope that the nanomask will, number one, help us to get rid of the COVID-19 pandemic, and secondly, and most importantly for me, help to continue expanding the new and much needed revolution in African science, African nanotechnology, and African healthcare. Thank you very much.
Amazing innovation, right? Thank you so much, Dr. Nderitu, for sharing with us the amazing Tira nanomask. I encourage all of us, please reach out, visit tirahealth.com and get yourself one mask, and for your loved ones as well. Alliance for Science and Ian Gazard, we can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for making this edition happen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nightmares. From nightmares to sweaty hands to fear of missing out on a lifetime opportunity. Our next speaker shares with us her journey towards developing a protocol for growing fungus that causes late blights in potatoes. The protocol is crucial in testing resistance of late blights in potato varieties. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome the beautiful Ethel Webi.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ethel Webi, and I am a biotechnologist, and I would like to share with you my story. Back in 2016, I was a Master of Science student at Jomo Kenyatta University here in Nairobi, Kenya. And at the time, I barely slept. The few times that I slept, I will dream of this fungus that causes late blight disease growing like grass on a field. And I will be running around this field on shaky legs with sweaty palms. I was so anxious, and I hated that this anxiousness was in my dreams. So if you do a master in science, there are two parts to it. The first part is the classwork, where you do your written exams, and the second part is the practical work, where you do your research work. And I had been lucky enough to get a graduate fellowship with International Potato Center. International Potato Center is commonly referred to as SIP. So I was doing my graduate fellowship in SIP, which is my part of my research work. And at the time, I joined a group of scientists who are trying to find a solution to late blight disease that affects potato through genetic engineering. So late blight disease is a disease that is devastating for farmers all over the world. It's famously known for causing the 1840 famine in Ireland. So what happened was so many people were growing potatoes in Ireland, and they were relying on it for their livelihood. And then late blight came along and it destroyed all their crops. As a result, 1 million people died, and 1.5 million people had to migrate to a different area because they could not afford, they did not have anything else to eat. So even to this day, this disease is still devastating. When it hits a farm, it can cause up to 100% yield loss. And it does not affect potatoes only, it affects tomatoes, among other crops. So when I joined this team of scientists, they wanted to find a solution to late blight disease that does not include the control methods that are available at the moment. At the moment, the way to control late blight is by use of fungicides. And you know fungicides are harmful to our health, and they're also harmful to the environment. So if a farmer has to spray their farm at least 2 times a week to control this disease. And you know, if you spray fungicides, every time you spray, you leave toxic residues. And then, and you keep on spraying and spraying, you degrade that land. And so you have to leave that land and move on to the next. And then, you know, it takes so many years to restore degraded land. So we cannot keep on doing that. You move on to the next, move on to the next. In the end, we will not have any land to grow our crops. So I felt like these scientists were doing something noble because they were trying to find a solution to the disease that does not include the use of fungicides. And I was so happy to join them because I felt like they were doing something noble for the world. So at the time, when I joined these scientists, I was given 3 goals to do for my work. They had developed these potato varieties that they believed to be resistant to late blight. And they did this by transferring genes from a wild potato into these local potato varieties. So my work, the first thing I had to do was to confirm that these local potato varieties have this resistant gene. And I did that successfully and I finished. The second work that I had to do was to test these resistant varieties and confirm that they actually have that resistance. And for me to do that, I needed to grow the fungus that causes late blight disease. So in order to grow this fungus, I needed to go to the field, get the fungus, come back to the lab, grow it in the lab, and then infect these potato varieties and observe their reaction. So that's what I did. They gave me a procedure for making a mixture of ingredients that is used to grow this fungus. So I went to the farm, a lot of potato farms are usually affected by this disease. So I went to the farm, I got the fungus, I came to the lab, and then I grew the fungus. I placed it on this mixture of ingredients and I waited. But then it did not grow. I went back to the farm, I came back to the lab, I placed the fungus on this mixture of ingredients and I waited. And then nothing grew. So I did this back and forth for a whole month. Keep in mind that at this time I had only 6 months left to finish my graduate fellowship. And then I've wasted already 1 month trying to grow this fungus and it's not growing. So now I have 5 months left. And at the time I became very anxious. I used to see my supervisor and my heart would just race and I would sweat because I didn't want him to ask me about my progress when I had nothing to report. And at the same time, I started having these dreams of this fungus growing in the field, and I will be in that field. It was a very anxious moment for me. And I needed to grow this fungus and cross this step because I felt like I was a stumbling block, because this whole project, the purpose of it is to give these resistant varieties to farmers, to finally release it to farmers. And you cannot release something to them that you have not confirmed is actually resistant. So I felt like I was a stumbling block between the products and the farmers, because if I cannot prove that these plants are resistant, then they can never move ahead to the farmers. I felt like a failure at the time. So at that point, I realized I needed to find a solution, because finding a solution meant that the project will move forward and this product will finally get to the farmers. And also it meant that I will have to stop hiding from my supervisor, and I will also get better sleep. So I went and did a lot of research on this fungus. I read about what other scientists do in their labs, how they grow it, the optimum conditions for growing this fungus. And then I came up with with a new procedure for growing the fungus. And in the process of reading, I found one of the people had said that they use cooking oil. And at the time, nothing seemed strange. So I also added cooking oil to my procedure. And then I made the ingredients. Usually when you grow this fungus, you put it in a 90mm plate, which is circular. And then you put your mixture of ingredients, and then you place the fungus on top and you let it grow. So that's what I did. And I found a room that had the optimum temperature, which is 17 degrees Celsius. And I placed I went back to the field, got the fungus, placed it in that mixture of ingredients, put it in that room, and then I left. So I went back. I was so anxious, so I had to go back every day to check if there's anything growing. So I went back the first day. And at this time, I didn't know it at the time, but I used to, at the time of doing it, I didn't realize it until when I leave the room, I would exhale. So that's the point I realized I used to hold my breath when I get into that room. And then when I leave the room, I would exhale. I was that anxious. So I will go into that room on the first day. I've held my breath. I check on the plates. Nothing has grown. I get out. I exhale. The second day, I check. Nothing has grown. I get out. I exhale. So I did this for 4 days. And then on the 5th day when I went into that room, I saw something was finally growing. There was a white, fluffy, cotton-like appearance on the plates. And on that day, I was so excited. In fact, I remember saying, yes, when I was in that room. And that is when I exhaled for the first time when I was still in that room. I was so happy. But at the same time, I did not want to count my chicks before they hatched. So I took this plate and I went to the room with the microscope to confirm if this is actually what I wanted. And I checked it and I confirmed that it was what I wanted. So I let it grow for a few more days. And at the end, after 7 days, it was fully grown. I harvested this fungus and I used it to infect the resistant potato varieties that had been developed by SIP. So after infecting them, they were 31 potato varieties, and after the whole experiment, I ended up finding that 18 potato varieties were completely resistant to this late blight disease, and they will not need fungicide use. So that was a very happy moment for all of us. So after that, I continued with my work and I managed to finish it on time. And up to this day, this procedure that I developed was adopted by SIP Nairobi, Kenya. They still use it to grow this fungus because it proved to be a very effective procedure. Although they did away with the cooking oil because, they found something else to replace it, but still, they adopted that procedure, and up to today, they still use it to grow this fungus. So this whole experience, it taught me that the only thing that is worse than failure is not trying. And although everything may seem impossible, it's only impossible until it's done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethel. Thank you very much. Where I come from, we call potatoes Irish potatoes. How many of us call potatoes Irish potatoes? It's a Ugandan thing. Kenyans, what do you call Irish potatoes? Potatoes? What? Okay. Ethel has told us why we started calling Irish potatoes because of the famine that was caused by the late blight, that she brilliantly came up with a protocol for to ensure that the products that are given to farmers are actually resistant to the disease. Today we are going to have 4 speakers, and Ethel Webi is one of them, but Ethel is particularly supported by the International Plant Biotechnology Outreach, that is IPBO. And it's because Ethel's story is about biotechnology. The potatoes she was actually talking about are genetically engineered potatoes. And also, Science Stories Africa, we came onto this platform from a GMO background. So we are completely for biotechnology. We are 100% for GMOs. We are 100% for genetic engineering. So we encourage you that when Ethel and her team, they're finally done and the regulations are in place and there is genetically engineered potatoes in the market, please buy them, knowing full well that they're safe, that they're protecting the environment, because she told us there is reduced fungicide use, and they are also safe for the farmer because the farmer is not exposed to fungicide all the time. My job here is really to say thank you. I just want to say thank you and thank you and thank you and thank you for you guys for tuning in. Again, share that link with family, with friends. Tell them Africa is telling her story. Kenya is telling her story. Please tune in. And Heart the Band is also in the house, okay? I want to thank my team, the SSA team, Science Stories Africa team. Not Ian Gazad. Ian Gazad is our sponsor, but Ian Busurwa, who is our foot soldier. Ian is the one we send, go do this, go do the other, ensure this and the other. And Ian has been a faithful worker for the last 3 years. Ian, thank you very much. We love you dangerously. Victoria Mbigide, thank you. Victoria has that quiet presence. She's always present when you need her. Thank you. Hannington Bukomeko joined us in the 2nd year. Hannington picked up on the excitement. He feels what I feel. It's like the things you're doing, the science you're doing, Patricia, let's continue. We are not stopping at year 3. We are going to be here 10 years later. He is our think out of the box guy. Why are we doing this? Can't we improve this? That's a great story. Let's tell it. That doesn't look like a great innovation. We can, keep it. So Hannington, thank you. And Christine. Christine is my right-hand woman. She picked up on the dream immediately. Christine is not here with us today, but thank you. And we also have our young GM Shiro. Please, if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube page, please subscribe and you'll be able to see all the stories we've told so far. And in some of those presentations, we have what we call the GM Shiros. Jordana Talemwa. Jordana, we thank you and we love you dangerously. She's also a skater. You may have seen her in the advert. She also represents our hope for the future, for the young people that we hope we are inspiring, and they'll end up in science one way or another. I am not a scientist, I'm a journalist, but I tell science stories. Maybe she'll turn out to be a fashion designer and she'll work with Dr. Nderitu to come up with clothes that are made from nanotechnology, so that even though you haven't bathed, you can put on the dress and it kills the viruses. I don't know what she'll do, but we thank you, Jordana. Let me see what's next, or whom I'm forgetting to say thank you to. IPBO, I've talked about them. Please join the Alliance for Science. Go to our website, click join, check out IPBO, what they do. Science Stories Africa, subscribe to our YouTube page. Dr. Nderitu and Ethel, you are the reason we exist. The work that you're doing, the hard work. We want the world to know about that. So please visit tira.com. Am I pronouncing that well? Yes, tira.com. These are the makers of the Tira Nano Mask, and get yourself a mask. The other day, Huntington was telling us that he first heard of nanotechnology from a Marvel movie. You know, these are the things of movies, and movies are fiction. But here is a doctor in Nairobi, Kenya, doing the thing of the movies, doing the impossible. So please get yourself the mask, protect yourself. It goes for 500 Kenyan shillings. Maybe he'll increase the price. We don't know. But please get the mask. Ethel, Dr. Nderitu, thank you. You make us all proud. We are the reason you exist. We are not lying to the world. There is brilliance in Africa, and you are showcasing it. So I would like to welcome Hat the Band. When we were planning this event, we put out a call for innovators. So everyone who answered our call, everyone on this stage came out of that innovation. Someone in Kenya, someone in the world gave us their name. So those of you who responded to our call, thank you very much. Even Hat the Band was recommended. Like, these guys, they make nice music. You know, we come from Kampala and we make really nice music. So we're like, we want someone who is going to up, you know, to beat the Kampala band. They're like, we have these guys. They're called Hat the Band. So welcome Hat the Band with me. And thereafter, we shall hear more stories of innovation. Thank you.
Yeah, so once again, we are Hat the Band, H_AIT the band. And I like to say in Kenya, we call Irish potatoes waru. Yeah. And this is music from Nairobi, Kenya, I'll say. All right.
Well, you see, love makes you do crazy things, yeah. Ask my shoes, yeah. Uliza kiatu. And no, I went through to buy you those rings, yeah. Ask my shoes, yeah. Uliza kiatu. Masaibu ninayoyapitia kukupeleka
akanionyesha mfuko. Tega. Kitendawili. Tega. Ati alisema do ya salon ni thao tu na kwa mfuko nilikuwa na mbao juu. Tega. Kitendawili. Tega. Ati alisema naenda PE. Akirudi nilimpata akimeza P2.
Alikutega me.
Alinitega
Mbaya.
So yani niko stuck katikati kama ile stick ya mshikaki. Mimi nampenda huyu mshikaji but nikiatu najua story. Yani vile mimi mchocha nimemflash but mbaya chuko deni ya Bob Cole mani vile mimi ukanyaga matope kabla nifike kwa lami. Na ile stress mimi pitia kabla nimpongeshe kilami. Yani vile mimi mpandisha taxi alafu naenda kudandia gari ya moshi. Yani vile mimi hustle hadi kiatu anza kutoa moshi. Yani vile mimi muita baby Juna John Kimitanjeri Ars geuka leo mama ziko nimeispela. Ni vile nimetama kati tumbo ziko kasanda kani vile yani kani kokopa nimekopa nikokoka nimekoka nikani tisa nimepigana ndio nifisha kaka namba 8 na hata usiku nipata menchoro ya 8 toa moja. Yani vile mimi nimesaga mpaka toja nikamchikine shiki moja nikamshamba kama si mwana vioja eti mimi na mahakamani solve timi na bila shaka mashtaka. Ni vile hata leo dunia ikasimama Science Stories Africa tasimama pamoja au sio? Yani vile kama penzi ni nywele nimemsetia mpaka nati. Vile kama penzi ni kikozi bila shaka niko na TB, niko na fever jona niumiza. Ni vile kama penzi ni mistari nimemwandikia sentensi. Matenzi mpenzi na kuenzi vishenzi niko cheesy crazy mwizi wa mapenzi nifunge I'm guilty kiatu to testify. Science Stories Africa to testify au sio? Yeah, I need your help.
Kila mtu sema yeho, yeho, sema yeho, yeho, sema yeho,
Yeah, because nobody knows your story better than your shoe, au sio? Everybody has a journey, and this is our journey, and this is to all the lovers, because love is what we give.
tuko chini, twatembea matopeni baby, usiwasikize matapeli, hakisha tuna gari, ninasaka mali, twende kwenye mashambani, nikalipe mahari, tuishi kwa amani.
Nikikutazama mwanaume, moyo wayoyoma, kipenzi changu roho, na huyanza nikikutazama moyo wayoyoma, kipenzi chako roho ndakuyaza.
Nikikutazama moyo wayoyoma, kipenzi chako roho ndakuyaza. Everybody twist it.
Twende chini sasa.
Sema ea ea ea, sema ea ea ea, sema ea ea nikikutazama moyo wayoyoma, kipenzi changu roho ndakuyanza.
Thank you very much. Thank you to our dancers also, you know.
Thank you at the band. Wonderful, wonderful performance. Good excitement. There is warmth in the room. Thank you very much. Our next scientist is a serial inventor. He has been inventing since the age of 13. And today, he brings us the story of the Alex cane, a smart cane for the blind. Please join me to welcome Anthony Muthungu.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Muthungu. I'm an entrepreneur and an innovator. Thanks to us, the band. You guys took my voice. I love that song. And also like to recognize my good friend, Dr. Nderitu, for this nanomask. This is amazing. I'll talk to you about my innovation journey. I've been doing innovation for the past 15 years, since I was 13 years old. And this journey starts with when I was working at the Ministry of ICT, that's ICT Authority at JPO. I was studying right outside waiting for a friend who is a journalist coming from I&M building. That's where the standard KTN is based. And then from a distance, I could see a visually impaired person who was walking with a normal cane, but we have those parking barriers. So I could see the way he is positioning his cane is out of where he is walking. So I could predict, I'm giving that guy few seconds until he knocked that thing. So the guy came and he knocked it from here and then he fell. And then I asked myself, what can I do? What could I have done? And then I remember back at home when I was, I think 14 years, we have this storage tank at home whereby we have enough water even give to the neighbors. So mom kept on telling me, can you go and check the level of water if it's full? By that time, we have this thing that new technology with the water tank that when it's full, it closes the tap on its own, that board thing. It was not there. So I used to go and climb on top, check, or try to hit hand. So like after every 3 minutes, mom, go and check. Then I got bored. It's like, mom, I think I need to build something for that tank. So I decided now to build something based on a proximity sensor, whereby I had to put the sensor on top. So when the water is rising, it keeps on. When the water approaches the surface on top before it overflow, there is a sensor there that will trigger an alarm, and then we will hear an alarm from the kitchen. So I made that, and then could hear an alarm, and now go and shut the tap. So I did that. So back at GPO there with the visually impaired person, and then like, what can I do to this guy? I got that idea. I can steal that idea from the tank that I did when I was 14 years old. That sensor whereby the level of the water in the tank be now the barrier. Where the sensor is detecting this barrier, be the cane. So I need to build the cane with some sensors. So when he is walking, if the sensor detects an object at a distance, it will vibrate at the grip and he will stop. So I built that prototype that's in 2018 Feb. I built, by then I was so much into artificial intelligence. So that's a very heavy machine. So I was so much into working with the image processing, voice recognition. So I built a cane first, the first prototype that you could speak with it. Hi. So I had programmed now if I say hi, it will recognize what I mean. I say hi. So just to produce 3 sounds. Means means I'm listening. How far is it from here to Estrads? It could convert my voice into text and search via Google. Now the Google will get the result, it's 5 kilometers. So it convert the 5 kilometers voice text into audio and tell me 5 kilometers. So I could now kind of communicate with it. So I finished, and then it could even take a picture of an object, come here, it has a camera, take a picture, use the now Google Lens, process using the internet. What does these labels? This is a cup. So I did it, and then I went to the Kenya Society for the Blind for testing. To my surprise, I came to know there's people who are blind and deaf. So you have a very good idea, but he is deaf and blind. So it's talking. So he can't use it. Go back, build something that is inclusive, blind and deaf. So I went back with my cane. So I decided now to do away with the artificial intelligence features, because even the cane itself was speaking in English. These guys, they don't even speak in the normal Swahili. The normal Swahili language is a problem. So even understanding the English, it's a big disaster. So I had to do away with that. So I built a normal cane whereby I just decided now to have the sensor at the tip so that when they are moving, if he comes here, a sensor will tell him there's something you fall. So I had a sensor at the tip. And then I had another sensor at the grip whereby it would produce a sound. When there's something. So I decided to put that. And then I went back to the Kenya Society for the Blind with it. Interesting, a lot of feedbacks were coming because I was working with those blind people. So they came in. So the product now, they told us, is good, but now, when we are working as blind people, this Kenya is producing sound, and here there is another vibration. There is sound and vibration. So there is a lot of divided attention. Are we going to feel the vibration, or are we going to concentrate on hearing the sound? So remove the sound. So I remove the sound, I retain with the vibration of the grip. So at the part of the tip where I had positioned a sensor to help them feel where there's a pothole, they said, we can't rely on technology on such matter. Please allow us to still hit the ground with our cane. We want to hit the ground and feel. So remove that sensor. So I had to remove the sensor again. I went back to the lab. I built now the cane again, just the normal cane, and then on the vibration when an object is coming. So like the more you are near the object, the more vibration continuously. So you can know like I'm coming close to that. I built it and I went. And these guys another said again, it's good now, you did what you want. However, there's one challenge. You have built an entire cane from 0 to here. But we already have existing white canes, those we are using. Why don't you build something, an extension of already what we have? Just a grip. So I went back and then said how to build a grip, something like that bottle, that size. So you just buy and then come and attach on top, and then it becomes intelligent. I did that, and I did a lot of pilot, and everything went well. And I checked the cost of production of that product. Again, before now, on top of that, I happen to have a friend who is called Alex, who is a visually impaired person from KU. So one day I decided to talk with the parent to know, how do you feel when your son is out and you don't know where they are? So the parent said, like, I normally feel kind of anxiety. I don't know where he is. It's already time. He's not home. So I told him, can I help you reduce that anxiety? Yeah, I'll be glad. So I went back now to the cane again and fixed a GPS tracker inside and a USSD platform. So like whenever mom wants to know where Alex is, he just needs to take a phone, send an SMS to the cane. The cane will capture the SMS, pick the GPS location of Alex and send back to the mom. And mom can view. He's just allowed here. So she doesn't have to panic. And then also her now to have a geofence. Alex is a KU student. So mostly he goes to school and then come back. So there's no any single day you ever find him in town or Thika doing what. So we had to geofence his location. Alex cannot go beyond here. So anytime he makes a mistake of getting out, the mother get an SMS alert. Your son has just moved out of the zoned area. So the mom and I feel like now I can have a control of my son, however he is an adult, although he needs to check on his son. So I built that. Then the cost of production became too high. Kenya shillings 9,000 for this product. And then you check the profile of those people I want to sell to. Most of them, you find them in the footbridge. The costing you to give them few coins. And then this skin is going for 9,000 Kenya shillings. How many people do they borrow coins to get that amount? So I saw it was a challenge. And then I'd say now what I'm going to do. If you approach someone, you approach an organization and tell them, I'm doing this, I would like you to buy this product so that you can be able to give these guys. So like, we are willing, however, this product is very expensive. We are of impact. We do want to buy like 1,000 pieces we go and give. But one is 9,000 shillings. We don't have that time. We don't have that amount at a go because we don't want to buy 50 or 100. Okay. So what I'd say is like, I want to build a product. I'll build something now. Something that has a very big market and a very big players. I know how to play the competition in the market. So I'd say now to start building, manufacturing USB chargers. This charger is locally made in my company. It was trading yesterday. I'm Muthungu Anthony. It's locally made. These like iPhone chargers, you know, I sell them at 500 Kenya shillings, VAT inclusive, Type C 300 Kenya shillings, micro 200 Kenya shillings. In every cable that you buy here, 10 shillings goes towards that project, Alexin project. So I'm putting resources together. I'll build that cane with that cost of 9,000 Kenya shillings, and then I'll give them for free. Because I'm not in the business of making money, I'll do it as part of my CSR program. So for those guys who ever want a USB cable, we even do custom USB cable, a cable that is reading your name, it can get stolen. It has your name, Ian. So just have to, let me see, this is mine. So we are building custom cables of different length. You want 1.5 meters, 2 meters, like has the birds when they go somewhere, they give guys their cables. These are like kind of stuff. And in every cable that you buy, 10 shillings is going towards increasing vision, mobility, and reducing anxiety of this caregiver palette. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Anthony, for that amazing innovation. In case you want to continue supporting his work on the Alex Ken, all you have to do is get yourself a cable of your choice, a Type C, a Type B, and you will be contributing to improved mobility for visually impaired people. I would like to once again thank our sponsors, the Alliance for Science and Ian Gazard. Thank you very much for making this edition possible. Our next speaker, our next scientist, is a mother who noticed a challenge that was claiming the lives of many mothers in her community and chose to do something about it. She has developed a tracking device for this community that's doing a lot in improving and changing this challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Miss Dahabo at the Galgallo.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Dahabo Adi Galgallo. I was born, brought up within the pastoralist community of Marsabit County. By profession, I'm a medical lab scientist, specialized in epidemiology, and also I have a lot of passion for research. Maternal mortality is very high in Kenya. We are losing almost 488 expectant mothers from 100,000 live births. If you compare this statistic to statistic from my own county, we are losing almost 820 expectant mothers from 100,000 live births. So we are losing almost 2 times compared to the national. WHO recommended that at least all the expectant mothers needs to go for antenatal care. So if you are expectant from the first trimester, you need to go more than 4 times to antenatal clinic so that you can able to get the service. So some of the service that expectant mothers can able to get when they go to clinics are checkup like hemoglobin level, that is blood level within the mother, urine for urinalysis, stool for ovarian cyst, hepatitis test, blood grouping, and even other conditions within. So expectant mothers within the pastoralist community, they are missing all this service. Just because of the illiteracy level within this community is high. Almost 80% of this population, they are mobile because they keep on moving from one place to another in search of water and pasture. So being brought up within this pastoralist community and also our healthcare workers working within this population, I have a lot of experience whereby we are losing mother. Most of the time within my workstation, I've seen mothers coming for service sometimes, and then they don't make it. I've lost relatives, I've lost neighbors, and even a very close friend. So what really touched me was when a time I was just working within my workstation, then called for an emergency. Then I rushed to the maternity ward. It was so sad that the young lady who was there at the labor ward dying was a very close friend of mine. So that really touched me. She didn't die because of disease, but she's dying for a condition that can be prevented. So losing mother within the pastoral community really touched me, and I was completely devastated. So back in 2015, I did a research. And the reason why I did was because of the experience that I've been seeing within my health system or within my community. So the research was to establish what is the main cause of maternal mortality within this pastoralist community. So the main finding of my research was that most of the expectant mothers that we are losing, they have never attended clinic. So after also doing more research, I came to realize that most of them, they come from the pastoralist community, and they can't access the healthcare service because they keep on moving, sometimes even more than 150 kilometers away from the health facility. So what next now? What can I do as a healthcare worker, as a pastoralist woman? What can I do to save the life? So I decided to go mobile. I shared the data with all the entity within my county. They supported me. So we started a mobile healthcare service to this community. After 1 year, we were not able to reduce the maternal mortality within this population. So that really affected me, because what I wanted was, if I go mobile, at least I can able to reduce the maternal mortality. But during the outreach that we are going, sometimes you go to one village. Within this village, you get almost 10 expectant mothers. But next month, if you come at least to give service to this mother, they are not there. So we were not able to give 100% as per WHO requirement. So back in 2016, one evening, it was on Sunday, so I joined my son. He was watching a movie, Prison Break. So after the end of the movie, so I was able to ask my son, because I was not doing a follow-up to the movie. So I asked him, tell me something about this. What is it that these prisoners are being watched or something? So my son was able to explain to me that these are the worst criminal because they can able to escape. They are being monitored. So they are using GPS tracking system to monitor the movement of all these prisoners. So in case they move away, they can able to be tracked back. So after 2 days, the reflection on how I can able to move to save these pastoralists came in my mind. So I thought, why don't I use this tracking system to track this pastoralist expectant mother so that I can able to monitor their movement? In case maybe they move from one village to another, whereby in our community we don't have the electricity, we don't have a network, so the phone cannot work. So the only thing that we can able to use to track these women so that we can able to give them 100% service that they require was through this GPS system. So by then there was a call from Grand Challenge Africa on how to save mothers. So we applied for the grant. I got the grant, the seed grant. So I was able to test the concept. So I came up with a GPS tracking system and bracelets, which is beads. So within this community, they don't usually accept something which is outside their culture. So I decided to come up with the beads because the pastoralist community usually like wearing the beads. So with this one, I was able to integrate the bracelets with the beads and also with the GPS pocket so that this pastoralist community can able to wear. So I was able to go back to my community. I did sensitization. It was 100% acceptance. So we were able to give them the device. So back in 2016 to 2019, we were able to follow these expectant mothers from their first trimester up to the time they deliver. So during this period, they were able to get fully antenatal care, which is more than 4 times as recommended by WHO, and also skill delivery. So from the time also the kid was born, we were able to do a follow-up because of the tracking system and give them the immunization for their kids. So with this one, the innovation was almost 98% effective, and we are able to save life within this population. With the devices, we were able to increase the number of antenatal clinic that these mothers visit. We are able to increase the skill delivery within the population. We are able to increase the immunization coverage, of which is very low among this population. So with that one, I felt that at least we have saved life, but we are working towards extending the innovation to other pastoralist community so that we can continue saving more life.
Thank you again, Dr. Dahabo. And we're about to come to the end of this show, but there is still time. If you haven't, if someone hasn't yet logged in, please send the link. Tell them Hat the Band is coming. The scientists you missed are coming up on stage. The fabulous team at Science Stories Africa is coming. Just have a last glimpse, but also these stories are going to be edited and they are going to live on our YouTube page. You can always come back and watch and listen, pay attention, share the link with an impact investor that you may know of. Anthony is looking for support. Someone out there can fuel Anthony's dream. Everyone here is looking for support. So if you know people who are looking, especially impact investors, people who want to change the lives of communities, you can always share these stories, but also the awe of science. If you're a science teacher, these are the things that you should be sharing in your classrooms to encourage pupils to either sign up and not drop sciences, or just to encourage the fortitude of your science students. So as we come to an end, I would like to thank yet again Verenado Meme. Verenado is our Science Stories Africa Kenyan contact. He did everything that you can see. He chose the theater, took us to the theater because we are, foreign here. We didn't know where to go. He got all the service providers. I know the photography guy. I know the videography guy. I know this one. I know the other one. Meme, thank you very much. But just to also mention that Meme didn't come on board simply because we are coming to Nairobi. He's been cheering on Science Stories Africa from the very beginning. So thank you very much. I would like to invite our speakers yet again and our team, Science Stories Africa, to say thank you and for people to have a look at you for the final time. Dr. Dahabo, please come first, because I think your innovation undergirds all innovations. If mothers die during childbirth, there'll be no children, there'll be no future. So what will Dr. Nderitu's nanomask, whom will it protect? Anthony, the children who will be unfortunate to be born blind and deaf, who will use his smart stick, his smart cane? Ethel and her late blight-resistant potatoes, who will eat them? So Dr. Dahabo, please come up, and all our speakers, as we take a final bow. Hat the Band, I am scared you're not going to play my favorite song, the song that made me fall in love with you. So I'm going to request to please play Ukimwona, okay? Yes, please come on up, everyone, the team, the speakers, Hat the Band, Sarah Evanja, the Alliance for Science, Ian and Amy Gazad. We cannot thank you enough. Our scientists who are holding the flag for African innovation, thank you very much. Like I said, at Science Stories Africa, we love dangerously. So we love you all dangerously. Hat the Band, the people who are in production, whom you haven't met, Andrew Miale, Nakuti the photographer, everyone who has shared the link on social media, and all of you from wherever you've joined us from tonight, thank you very much. Dr. Dahabo, please come on up. I want to say a final thank you. Joseph, Anthony, and Ethel, this is your day. Come on up. We want to hear it for the last time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes. We're done. Hat the Band. Over to you.
He's an awesome God. Amenipa such an awesome song. And I'm never lonely. Amenipa such an awesome love. He's an awesome God. And I wanna tell it to the world. Ili wajue ni wewe. Kama si wewe basi nani? Sikia na nilote. Ni wewe utaprovide. Nina ngori moyoni zinanijaza bori, ila nitakuwa fine. El Shaddai, uko na kile minadai, ulinipenda kama nisifai. Oh, El Shaddai, El Shaddai. misielewi. Yeah. And every day you come through in an awesome way. Kwenye dhiki nimepata rafiki wa kweli. Na Galgallo ni mahali kanani, ni wewe utaprovide. Nina mahali natamani kulipia mpenzi, sote tutakuwa fine. Na madaktari wanasema hali sio hali, wewe unajua time. I will call you El Shaddai, El Shaddai. Uko na kile mimi nadai, unipenda hata kama mimi sifai. Oh no no, El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai. Uko na kile mimi nadai, unipenda hata kama mimi sifai. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai.
So dear Lord, please grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Dear Lord, grant us the courage to change the things we know we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And if you know this song and you're tuned in right now, sing along with us. Let's go. One time.
El Shaddai, uko na kile mimi nadai, ulinipenda hata kama mimi sifai. Oh, El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai. Uko na kile mimi nadai, ulinipenda hata kama mimi sifai. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai.
Yeah, and before we leave, because Patricia's gonna kill us, yes, this one is a special one. We are the band H__, yet the band. So ati tusidanganyane, ati tangu niwache mimi sijakuwa nikikula, mimi sijakuwa nikilala, mimi sijakuwa nikienda paka choo. Jua ukweli ni kama ni kukula, mimi nakula tena sana. Ati kama ni kulala, mimi nalala tena sana popo. Na kwa madaktari ati kama ni research, mimi nafanya tena sana. But on the real though, mbingu na nchi inaweza testify vile mimi nilikupenda, vile mimi nilisacrifice kila kitu nilikuwa nayo ndo upate kilo unapenda. Lakini kama umeamua kuenda, wewe enda, na mkimuona mwambieni bado nampenda. At the band.
Kusema kweli bado nakuhata, and on the daily bado nakufuata. Kosa sio hoja zaidi ya kukupenda, vipi nikatupa ndoto tulizoziota. Enzi zetu za kupare kwa mvinyo na makale, magizani hadi ngware, nikijifanya daktari kwa mabinti wale wenye shepu za hatari, nikapotelea ndani, ila mwambe nampenda, roho ya mtamani bado nampenda. Ukimwona mwambe nampenda, roho ya mtamani bado nampenda. Ukimwona tabasamu la kishua, roho sawa na maua. I can't help but miss you every morning, vile unapendeza. Kama ningeweza jua yepi ya kutarajia, nisingejipata mashakani makubwa niliyoyatenda. Ninayempenda ni wewe, hakuna mwingine wa kubadili penzi. Ningependa tuelewane, kiburi kisinikosanishe nawe. Uliniwasha bahari na sikushika naye, ukanisema kwa jirani kwamba mimi kisirani, aibu za hadharani, ile penzi hatari. Njoo nipe amani kama hapo zamani, mwambie nampenda, roho ya mtamani, bado nampenda, ukimwona mwambie nampenda, roho ya mtamani, bado nampenda, ukimwona. Mwambie nampenda, roho ya mtamani, bado nampenda, ukimwona. Mwambie yeye, mwambie yeye, bado nampenda, ukimwona.
Thank you so much, Science Stories Africa. We are at the band H_A to the band. Asanteni sana.